keeping track of everything that's going on in the book is probably the hardest thing about it. I do a huge amount of prep. I've got like files of notes. Sometimes I've got like a big A3 page in front of me above my desk to remind me what's supposed to happen. In a way, it's a bit like a movie when you're, the acting of the scene is kind of the easiest part or the shortest part, and kind of behind the scenes is this huge amount of kind of hard labor going on. So Imelda's section is unpunctuated, and it just sort of happened like the rest of the book. It all kind of developed organically. I was writing it as normal, and then as pages went by, I just stopped punctuating, and it just reflects the way she thinks. She's in a corner, and life's coming at her, and she's not able to kind of parse her thoughts or take the time to kind of break things down and understand them. She's kind of on the run the whole time, and the lack of punctuation reflects that. Cass and Dickie were the first to emerge, so initially the story was kind of a two-hander. The easiest to write was probably Dickie, because he's the closest to me in age and probably in sensibility. He sort of fancies himself as a bit of an intellectual. The hardest was Imelda, because she's not an intellectual, and she's not funny. She's going through like a really intense time, so it was quite challenging to kind of just focus in on the emotions and like not try and like leaven it with jokes or cerebration, which is kind of what the other characters do to kind of get through things. The ending was pretty much there from the start, and as I drew closer to writing it, I kind of started to wonder if it would be different or if I could mitigate it or change it. And the fact is that it couldn't. That was the ending that it had to be. I didn't really think too much about what readers would make of it. I think, when you're writing, it's best not to think about people looking over your shoulder. But it felt right, like it is a pretty intense ending, but it just felt like the ending the story had to have. Climate change is in the novel because it affects all of us all the time, and I guess each of the characters in the book is imagining that they're islands of sorts, and one of the major themes of the book is the fact that we're all connected like all the time, and you can't just sort of like hair off on your own and flee from your past and your present and your future. And our failure to deal with climate change kind of is about exactly that, just our failure to kind of understand that we're all sort of here on Earth together, and if we don't work together to try and address it, we're all equally doomed. Yes, this has been a really good time for polls. Thinking back, there aren't that many polls out there in the canon. Paul Beatty's book, The Sellout, I really loved. Paul Auster's New York Trilogy was a really key book for me in my 20s. I'm going to bend the rules slightly and say this guy, Paul Celan, he's a German writer. He writes about the Holocaust. It's very, very difficult poetry, but it's very, very romantic and beautiful at the same time. And I think that for me, he's the Paul that stood the test of time the best.